Hey folks, happy Saturday morning rant on a Sunday afternoon. Sorry about that, but I was at the lake house. I don't say that to brag. Well, maybe a little bit. But I was at the lake house. And the reason I bring that up is because it's great to have a home in Savannah, the lake house to go to, the home in New York, being able to search for yet another home. Like, all of that makes me feel good, but I'm gonna tell you why, not for the reasons you would think, because the truth is, as I've made a little bit of money in my life, I've come to realize that I actually don't really give much of a fuck about making a whole bunch of money. But there is a liberty behind having resources, but that's still not my point. My point is this. Years ago, I came home to work in the nonprofit space, and I owed $83,000 in fines, fees, restitution, and child support. Anyone who knows me has heard me bitch about this forever, but here's why I bitched about it. Not because it was $83,000 and it took me forever to get on my feet, but because it was $83,000 plus interest, and I had to throw bricks all over the place to be able to pay that off. Break laws, like fucking robberies, not with a gun, but still, I had to commit crime to pay off the $83,000 while I was on parole, because there was no way I was gonna start my life over $83,000 in a hole. And it took me a year and change to figure out how to do it. And every single thing I did could have got me locked the fuck back up. But that's the world we live in. That's the country we live in, where we want people to come out of prison into debtor's prison. And that's just where I was. And I needed to get out of both prisons. So I was not playing games, especially because my first job in nonprofit was $16,000 a year. Now I'm heading towards like making my point, which is like the reason I'm talking about hanging out at the lake house this weekend and being late on the Saturday morning rant, apologies again, is because like when I was in nonprofit in the beginning making $16,000 a year, I noticed that my colleagues was like lending each other their lake house, their river house, their ocean house, their house in Miami, their house in Costa Rica. Like, motherfuckers was lending each other houses all over the fucking place. And I couldn't understand, because I thought we were all poor and we hated capitalism. And so I thought we was all struggling together, like just trying to be good allies to the people we serve. But I barely had a fucking apartment to live in. I was living miles and miles away from work, all the way up in the Northeast Bronx, because I couldn't even afford to fucking live anywhere near my job, which was in Midtown in Greenwich Village. And if you know anything about New York, it's always been expensive to live there, even though it's supposed to be the most progressive part of the city. My point is this. I got to the point now in life where I can actually say to like leaders who I dig that they can use my homes. And I've lent my homes out to many people, many black, brown, white, like it doesn't matter. If I like you, I like you. Leaders in the nonprofit space, so that they feel like they got a place to go to. And you know, black and brown folks in particular don't really have a lot of folks that have second homes, that have vacation homes, that have summer homes, that have homes in nice places. So I do want to extend, like, you know, I got a few apartments in Savannah. Sometimes nobody's using them. Granted, it may not be the best times of the year, but there's all these gaps where nobody's using them. I'm not getting rental income anyway, and they just sitting there empty. So what the fuck? Y'all may as well ask me to use them, and I'm very open to people using it. As long as you're willing to pay the cleaning fee, you can use my shit, especially if you stress the fuck out, because this nonprofit space is fucking stressful. Which leads me into the next thing I want to talk about. I think that I got an idea. It just hit me on the way back from the lake house. I'm driving, it's like 2 hours away. I'm driving, I'm focused, and I was like, you know what? Like, I don't believe in correction officers working for more than 7 years on the job. Like, I wish there was no correction officers. I wish there was no prisons. Don't hit me with the abolition bullshit today, please. Just hear me out. But we do have correction officers and we do have prisons. My older brother grew up to be a fucking correction officer, U.S. Marshal now. But my point is this, like, I don't think correction officers should work more than 7 years, because I don't think people in corrections should benefit from the suffering and the pain of others. And that's what happens when you work in correction. You build a whole fucking career, unfortunately, on the suffering and pain of others. And now your fucking income, your motherfucking retirement, everything is tied to like this steady flow of people getting in trouble. And then not just them, but their kids. I never forget a correction officer saying to me, you being here helped me get my boat. When your son gets here, he's going to help my son get his boat. I know some of y'all have heard that before, but it's just like one of the 10 or so stories in my life that really fucking resonated with me and stays with me and shapes the way I think about criminal justice reform. So, I don't think correction officers should work more than 7 years, period. I think it should be like some Teach for America shit in the beginning. You come on board, you do this shit for a while, you get the fuck out, you go on with your life. But what the fuck is the difference in the nonprofit space? I think no one should run a nonprofit for more than 7 years. I think the IRS should actually put that in the motherfucking regulations or something. And I don't really like regulations. I've become much more moderate as I've gotten older, but there's some places where we need to like tell motherfuckers what to do, because otherwise they do what the fuck they want to do. And there's all these nonprofits where like the individual leader or founder's ego is so closely tied to the organization that things like scaling become so tied to their legacy that they end up fucking institution building the way the fucking pharaohs wanted to build fucking pyramids back in the days. Like, I think people run nonprofits the way fucking leaders like used to fucking build pyramids to honor themselves even after they're fucking dead. And I just don't think that that's the way to go. I think that we got to get to a point where like a person comes in, they have a good, and I know a bunch of people are gonna be like, no, it takes about 7 years for you to become good at what you do. Get the fuck out of here. I built a nonprofit from scratch. Granted, that shit was snatched away, but I built a nonprofit from scratch. And the fucking truth of the matter is that shit was up and standing, $43 million raised in like 3.5 fucking years. Don't tell me it takes 7 years for a person to know how to build a nonprofit. Even now, I've worked with 70 nonprofits in the last 7 years and helped them go from fledgling nonprofits or just having a concept paper or just having a couple $100,000 in the bank to being standing up, doing well. I got a nonprofit right now where I'm hanging out serving as the interim ED, and the ED is just chilling with her, like doing her thing. And I appreciate that. And you know why? Because she took my advice and she worked to build an institution that can stand without her. And the truth is, it's easy to plug and play. Like, no one will have the charisma of her and the vision of her for her vision, but someone else can come in and lead the same way a motherfucker could run yahoo.com one day and run Best Buy the next day. Don't really matter the content of what the company's doing. It matters that you know how to manage people, build systems, hire the right people, hire talented motherfuckers that are smarter than you, have an operations system in place, have an admin system in place, not only focus on program. You need help, contact Gem Trainers. We'll teach you how to do all this shit, because all y'all visionary founder motherfuckers that are out here wasting money, stop wasting money. And if you build some shit and walk away from it and it falls the fuck apart, you actually haven't built shit. Back to my point. I think that 7 years is more than enough. And I'm not saying 7 years in nonprofit, because like nonprofit is a whole fucking thing. Like, that would be like saying you can't work more than 7 years in the private sector. No, I'm saying at one nonprofit, that it gets to the point where people don't realize that they have blind sides and that they're actually not the best idea generator, maybe not the best implementer, and definitely not creating space for a second bench of leadership, typically amongst people who they serve. But even if you are someone directly impacted, because years ago I was a big fan of people closest to the problem, closest to the solution, but furthest from power and resources, as a way to open up spaces for leadership and resources for people who are directly impacted. I still believe in that shit, but what I believe in also is that if you're now positioned to run a nonprofit and you're formerly incarcerated or you're directly impacted in some other way, that don't mean you don't need to get the fuck out of the way. Like, you don't fucking make change in the world by creating an opportunity for yourself and then holding on to it for dear life. I mean, that's not even leadership. You got to create spaces for other people. You got to like fucking all ships rise together, motherfucker. So anyway, that's my thought for today, actually. That's my thought, is that, one, I want a lot of people I know to do good and do well. And I want, it's not that I don't want people to have lake houses to lend to their friends. I just actually want all of us to have lake houses to lend to our friends. And so, you got organizations like, you got Canberra in Brooklyn, like they're the second largest real estate holder allegedly, and like the ED makes 500 plus grand a year. I'm not even sure if I'm mad at that, but what I'm mad at is that the person on the front line, I know this for fact, makes 34 grand a year. So that fucking disparity makes no fucking sense to me. If you're gonna give yourself 500-600 grand a year, make sure you don't pay nobody less than like 75 grand a year, especially in a place like New York. I almost think nobody should get paid less than 75 grand a year in New York. Like literally, that's just what the fuck it costs to live here. I'm sorry that's what it costs to live here. I wish this place was better managed. I wish it wasn't so expensive. I wish government officials weren't trying to take every fucking dollar out of my pocket every time I turn around. But it's not how the fuck it is. So everybody should get paid 75 grand a year. When I ran a nonprofit, everybody got paid 58,500 grand a year. That was what, 10 fucking years ago. Inflation, motherfucker. Cola, cost of living. Anyway, you all get my point. 7 years. 7 years. I wish I was still doing fucking advocacy and lobbying work. Like maybe I'll just use my own fucking money to try to push a bill that says that a motherfucker can't run a single nonprofit for more than 7 years. So y'all could come in figuring out how to create space for other people to take your job and for other people to lead. Why? I know some of y'all like, oh my God, if I built it, I should be able to run it. Get the fuck out of here. Like, and then like, oh my God, if I leave this job, I won't have another job. Shame on you. If you leave your fucking job, you can't find another job, it's because there's something about your leadership that's not working. Because the truth is, if you invest in collective leadership, invest in the leadership of people around you, the truth is, like I said, all fucking ships rise together, which means, guess what? You're going to find another job. Somebody else is going to recruit you. If motherfuckers ain't recruiting you, you're not leading. If motherfuckers ain't begging you to come run their shit, you're not leading. Or you doing some token shit, like you the token. Like everybody wants that one black or brown leader that checks a box. I used to be homeless. I used to be on public assistance. I used to be incarcerated. I used to be a crackhead. Like whatever you willing to put yourself out there for. I know there's some of y'all out there, but even y'all gonna find other jobs. People always looking for a crackhead that turn their lives around, ready to run some shit. You'll get a job. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all today. In the meantime, if you really want to build a nonprofit that actually can stand on its own, and that has a solid foundation, and that creates a space for you to move on, and that creates a space for other people to lead, holla at me, gemtrainers.com. I got an amazing fucking team. We charge a lot of money though, but we charge a lot of money because we're good at what we do and we don't bullshit you. I hate fucking contractors. I hate consultants, so I'll never show up like those kind of consultants. So holla at me, you'll be surprised. We'll be on your team like that. We'll be totally interested in your success. And we don't even want any shine. You keep all the shine. Everybody on my team is past wanting shine. They don't give a fuck. Anyway, happy Saturday morning rant on a Sunday afternoon. Back from the lake house, feeling good. Gotta get these fucking army ants out my car though. Yo, don't put your fucking garbage from the lake house in your trunk and drive it back to New York just because there's no garbage pickup at the lake house, because the truth is you might bring fucking like crawly things back to New York. And I saw a big fucking army ant in my car the size of a motherfucking moth, and I gotta kill his ass. Anyway, I'm feeling good. Don't let nobody steal your rainbow. Have a great rest of the day. Peace.